So, why don't we create a consumer ID? Not yet a political ID, because that will be maybe not the right moment, but just a consumer ID. I mean, let's put 400 consumers to have an ID that is a European consumer ID that allows them to do things, buy things, access sites, access cloud, encrypt data, do payments. And actually, that's the type of projects that we need to create in order to have later companies that go to that size. Because whatever you do in the United States, you immediately have a market of 200 million people that you deploy. Mm-hmm. Here, whatever you do, you maximum have is a market of 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. Mm-hmm. And because the other countries don't want you to succeed, there's a lot of jealousy in Europe, they will put all kind of barriers before you move into that country. So Europe needs a pan-European consumer play in order to have companies like that to succeed.
Yeah, but this is wishful thinking, in certain way.
Yeah, it is. It is. Or you are from the investment side, get VCs, European VCs, to develop the proper funding for European companies. Sure. Because there's a lot of money in Switzerland now with the Swiss franc. Switzerland has $700 billion now in cash reserves, and I'm telling that to the VNS president. Why don't you put money on the Swiss enterprises? Switzerland is the #1 competitive country in the world, in the last 5 years. But this is not reflected on the number of IPOs.
Exactly.
So why don't you put your money and create an ecosystem on European company? Everybody agrees, to be honest. Nobody disagrees, but nobody moves. Any other question? Yeah, Fadi, please.
I just will make a comment. Sorry for arriving late. Sure. I will bring you, as a rapporteur, a little bit what I did in the next door.
Mr. Fadi is the chairman of ICANN. He rules the internet. He controls the internet.
So just quickly, I want to make the comment. First of all, thank you for inviting me, Carlos. I think that what you're doing is extremely important to what is now happening in the internet. I think we're seeing, as we heard just now from the Edelman Trust Barometer, that the trust in technology companies, for the first time since 2007, is starting to go down. It means that we are getting into the cycle that banking did. In 2007, everybody trusted banking. Now, banking is at the bottom, right there with governments. And now, tech is starting to go down. And I think you and your vision, and certainly the company you represent, actually are efforts to restore some of that trust. And not so much trust, but integrity of the technology sector. So I'm very excited about what you're doing, you know that. I think that all of us investing in giving consumers a mechanism to feel that the anxieties back down, from Snowden all the way to Sony, what we've seen is a complete, continuous erosion of people trusting the tech sector and the technology. And out in Silicon Valley, and I know some of you are from there, I lived there for many years, we sometimes have a libertarian edge that wants to think that technology is always good. Yeah. It's a good thing. The problem is that we're starting to see the people of the world say, we're worried about this. The anxiety level is high. So finding, as I saw in what you put on the table here, encouraging people to work with IGOs and governmental organizations, rather than say run away from them, they want to regulate the internet, but finding a mechanism where technology and public policy meet and we can restore some of that integrity is so crucial. So I commend your focus in that area and the products you bring, which start hopefully turning that trend back to a high level of integrity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fadi. For us, to be honest, to have a person like Fadi first, and also to have ICANN every time, anywhere in the world, you do .com, .net, .org, whatever, you're talking to him. To understand that we need to move into a new trust model where it's multi-stakeholder based, where everybody has a say, not only international organizations, but also private sector and multilateral organization. But to be honest, the first one, which has been totally neglected in the last 25 years of the web, is the user, the consumer. I mean, the most successful companies in the world are the ones that serve their consumers. They provide the consumers what the consumers expect from them. So we have the same responsibility on the internet now that we're going to have 6 billion people connected, is to provide to the consumer something that they trust and they feel integrated. If we achieve to that, we're going to have a total different new paradigm in the way the internet is going to move. If not, we're going to have a fragmentation and we're going to keep fighting for the next 25 years.
Just one quick word. First of all, thank you. If I had a slide presentation, you will see that the first thing we do when we present Qwant, we say, the search engine you can trust. So that's our motto. I just want to say something to the point that you were making. I was last week in the CS Las Vegas. There was a little session like this with maybe a few more people on the future of search, and I was very much linked to the Internet of Things. And the guys at the panel that were very, very bright and very senior guys at very large companies. And at the end, I took the microphone and I discussed privacy, which had been discussed, and I explained that we anonymize IP and how we do things. And then I told them, look, there is a problem is that search is presenting to its users a value proposition that happens to be false. The value proposition that search engine companies are giving to the people is, use my services that are for free, and I will show you a little bit of advertising. And that is just an outright lie. The reality is, give me all your data, I will mint it forever, and I'll give you services that you might want. If you don't want them, I don't care, because I have your data. Okay? And when people realize it will create a rebellion of sort, and people will be unhappy. So when I said that, the panel, these super nice and super bright guys, was silent. And then one of them took the microphone and he said, it's a problem. I think that what we have to do is to bring better services so that at the end they are happy. Which means that, of course, they don't plan to stop tracking them. The answer is what Carlos is saying, is to separate, of course, the ownership of your identity and the circulation of your data.
Very. So yeah, sorry.
WISeKey is developed also, you could use that data and sell it yourself, right? So use my identity online and then sell it myself. I think there's a company who's trying to compete, let's say, with Facebook, trying to do that, saying, well, we're gonna create your profile, and then through that profile, we'll use whatever revenues we get from information. Right. Yeah.
Sue, yeah. We're actually working with Sue on a project with the founder of Sue. Sue is an interesting model because basically it's a social network where they give 90% of the revenue they get from advertisers back to the users. And the users then redeem that revenue they collect by having their data being sold to foundations or whatever. It's a very interesting model, and I think those are the type of models that are going to emerge. I think we reach a saturation point on how much you can make out of the internet. Let's be realistic. The internet and the World Wide Web has created a $1 trillion economy. There are people, there was an article a few days ago here at the beginning of the WEF that 1% of the population owns 99% of the wealth of the world. In that percent is a very big number of technologies tycoons, that they manage to make so much money, which I don't mind people making money. I mean, that's normal, but not making money because you are abusing of our infrastructure that was designed for something else. The person I respect more on the internet and the World Wide Web is Tim Berners-Lee. He made no money. He gave away. Imagine if he will have patented the World Wide Web 25 years ago, where he will be. I mean, he will be maybe the richest man in the world, right? I'm sure he will. Because his invention was the platform for a $1 trillion economy. Google will not exist. Facebook will not exist. Any of those companies will not exist if the web will not be developed by this man and give it away to the society. So this spirit of giving away that obviously you need to make money, but money should not be the driver, is a new spirit that needs to emerge. And maybe Davos can help on that spirit, because we have a social responsibility towards 6 billion people, and they are totally excluded and will even more be excluded if you will be, in 5 years' time, you will be in a situation like you have to, like you do in the highways, you have to pay to get in. That will be very sad. So I think organizations like the one, companies like the one, they are learning that point and say, I am also with a lot of shepherds here. Shepherds are the young guys that they are willing to put their time and effort in their countries for free, so they help to a more distributed and open internet. So I am very optimistic as always, but it requires the investment community also to be less narrow on mind, on only making short-term money. There's a lot of VCs now that they have been addicted to exit in 2 years through a 1,000 times multiples. The VC community has also to be careful, because one day all this will disappear, you know? I mean, VCs are making a lot of money on the internet, but if they don't refinance the internet for a long term, this gold cash cow will die and will dry up, and then will be the end of the VCs as well. So we need some kind of long-term thinking on this, and put the money on the next 25 years on the internet. So I think, gentlemen, you are all very busy. I don't want to take more of your time. I would like to really thank you about your presence and your inputs. The roundtable is an educational process. I mean, we are later speaking in many other places. We want to incentivize the thinking in Davos, as we are, this year is an important year where technology is going to be debated in length. So just our ideas will be compiled. This memorandum of understanding that Thomas has introduced to you is available for your comments, additions, modification. But let's move towards something that we can put execution behind. I mean, we like to execute on what we say, and I think